my mom would always call me, and she'd go, "Where are you?" I'm like, "I don't know." And she goes, "Well, I'll just call the cops and they'll come find out where you are."
What's up, Hero Stock Nation?
Driving slow down the property line, laying back in his recliner, his family on his mind. He mistakenly was telling me that the vow was the best part. Seeing him with Grandma was truly a thing of art. That was life back then. Back then I was bush light sipping, back road, swerving like I'm living. Friday night drives by the baseball field, smoking cigs, blowing the windshield. Back then those men showed up, working in an old muddy truck, raising me to be a good man. That was life back then. Lived just right outside of town. Man, this guy can make anyone laugh, quoting Chris Farley up and down. The days of playing ping pong late at night, those memories I'll never forget. Coaching baseball in the summer and enjoying every single bit. That was life back then. Back then I was bush light sipping, back road, swerving like I'm living. Friday night drives by the baseball field, smoking cigs, blowing the windshield. Back then those men showed up, working in an old muddy truck, raising me to be a good man. That was life back then, yeah, life back then. I'm guessing those fellas are looking down on us, telling God about a family, and he was happy to discuss. They were reminiscing about those good old days, and catching that sunset and watching their cattle graze. That was life back then. Back then I was bush light sipping, back road, swerving like I'm living. Friday night drives by the baseball field, smoking cigs, blowing the windshield. Back then those men showed up, working in an old muddy truck, raising me to be a good man. That was life back then, yeah, yeah, life back then. That was life back then.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Round Table Where Heroes Talk. I'm Tom Lamog, your host, and let me bring on our co-host, Matthew Jones. Hey, Matt, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm fat and sassy like always.
You said that the last time. Are you still, you don't have
that.
Thanksgiving leftovers, obviously, and of course,
No, I'm just fat and sassy.
I heard that the weather out there is gotten pretty chilly.
Oh, the weather's fine. The weather's fine. It's just a little cold.
It's not delightful anymore. It's just fine. Okay.
No, I mean, if you don't like snow, don't worry. It won't stick around too long. But
hey, so what do you know about the Trails and Tales Songwriter Festival? Have you heard of that?
I know? So I have heard of it.
Mm-hmm.
man, I was going to try to get up there. I think it was last year. I was told about it, and I looked into it, and it's just, at the time I couldn't make it up there. But from what I have heard, a lot of really talented, a lot of really gifted musicians and songwriters showcasing their skills, and just a really, really good environment to be in and be a part of. So that's what I've heard about the Tales and Trails. I have no doubt in my mind that it was all of those things and more. So,
well, I can tell you what I know is it is an annual event that occurs in Deadwood, South Dakota. Our guest from the last time, Anthony Segovia, I keep messing up your name, Anthony, and I'm really sorry about that. I did that on our interview, but Anthony also performed there. And well, tonight's guest, Caleb Kenner, he's also someone who has performed recently for the Trails and Tales Songwriters Festival and some other upcoming events as well, too. And I'm not sure if you know who Caleb is, but let me kind of give you a brief introduction right now. He's a songwriter from Hebron, Nebraska. I'll get that right. Did I say the town right?
Yeah, you said it right.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Caleb. Thank you. Caleb appeared at last October's Trails Tales, the Songwriter Festival in Deadwood, and he got the attention of our president, Mr. Jason Steiner himself, Mr. Live Music Supporter. You can also go to Caleb's social media sites, where he's got most of his recent recordings, and I took a listen to all of them today. He's definitely got a background that we want to hear more about. Unique and small town upbringing also through his music comes to mind. Some personal experiences. Rather me babbling on about this, why don't we just go ahead and bring Caleb on right now? Caleb.
Bring him on.
Hey, Caleb, how are you, my friend?
Good, fellas. How are you guys doing?
It's going great. It's wonderful having you. We hear so many things coming out of Deadwood, South Dakota, specifically the Songwriters Festival. And, like I said, we had Anthony here last week. And having you here tonight, with Jason just saying, you know what, this is a really impressive lineup of musicians. Let's have them on. So welcome to the program.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys having me. I know when Jason was kind of setting me up with this and then got me in touch with you, and I was like, absolutely, we got to do this. It's, building relationships with people outside of my normal network, I think is always important. And, I know Matt is a songwriter himself, so good to know another one of those guys. And then Tom, obviously, we talked about kind of your experiences in the music industry when we were kind of chatting last week. So just blessed to be on.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, maybe you can, just kind of summarize that experience itself. How does one hear about the Songwriters Festival, get invited to the Songwriters Festival, and were there specific songs like this one that you just sang? We're hoping to hear more about that. What do aspiring songwriters need to know to try and get into that event?
Yeah, so it's ran by really some good folks. Alex Kuchera, DJ Bridwell, Dean Schaefer, and Dean actually does all of the sound. And that's a huge thing. I mean, being able to set up sound for 4 or 5 different places in Deadwood, make sure it sounds great, and we're interchanging it out. But the way that, if you are coming up as a singer-songwriter, they do a great job on social media. So you can follow them on Trail of Tales on Facebook and Instagram. I think they even now just got in TikTok. DJ's now getting them on TikTok, which is great. But you can submit everything through there. You can DM them personally, and then they'll ask for some kind of basic recordings of some of your songs and kind of see if you can get in. But I know I just talked to DJ last week. They had over 100 submissions this new year. So there's a lot of interest. I think last year they had about 40. There was like 40 of us, 30. And I think this year they're going to try to get it up to 84 total singer-songwriters.
This is an annual event that occurs in October. Is this correct?
Yep. Every October, kind of middle of October. I think they've got the new dates now. It's October 15th through the 17th is when it's going to occur. And so, that's usually when it is. And it's kind of a cool time to go up there. It's brisk in the morning, gets up into the 50s, 60s. Like it's beautiful up there.
I was going to ask, does this have kind of a competitive component to this? Like, so you submit songs to them, right? And then how do they determine who comes out and plays at the festival?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think they really look at your songs, they look at your style, and kind of determine, if you're a good fit, depending on kind of how you write songs. They do also, I know DJ does a good job of getting different types of singer-songwriters, so it's not just all red dirt, it's not all just like modern country, it's kind of a vast majority of different singer-songwriters. It does help to kind of know, some folks in there too, right? The gradual introduction, but you submit your stuff, and I think DJ is a big believer in communication. So if you communicate well, DJ's always on his phone, so you can text and call that guy, or they're always responded on their social media pages. But I think there's a little bit, especially with the amount of slots, with the submissions and slots. I know they're trying to build it to even be bigger, because I think they've gotten so many great submissions that they're like, we're moving it to 84, but we probably could move it to like 120, if they want to. So
let me go back to the song that you opened with. Was this your first song that you've written? And maybe you can give us a story behind it.
Yep. So Back Then was the first song I ever wrote. And how it kind of transpired was, I got my guitar for Christmas. I told you I was kind of bored out of my mind. Working from home, and I'm like, I need a hobby. I can't just watch Netflix, every time at lunch. So, guitar was great. My wife got it for me. But anyway, we were at my grandma's 80th birthday, and her husband Roger, who's my grandpa, had passed. In his lower 70s. He had a lot of life to give. And then my uncle Kevin, who was his son, Roger's son Kevin, he passed. In his mid 50s, lower 50s. So, really young, and they were great men. But anyway, we're at my grandma's 80th birthday party, and my cousin Desi put together. My grandma is an amazing cook. Was an amazing cook. I mean, you talk about like fried chicken. She was a mom of 9 kids. So my mom was the oldest of 9 kids, and they lived on a big farm. And so, but when she made food, man, it was mint. And so my cousin Desi made a recipe book, but what she did is she interviewed my grandma about the recipes and how she came up of making her own food and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, gosh, that is really cool. Like, to have that moment with my grandma, that Desi, I'm like, I wonder what kind of moment I can create. And I don't like to read books. I'm just not one of those people. I'm not a good interviewer, but I tell a pretty good story. It's always kind of been in my DNA. And so I thought I would start writing some lyrics about my grandpa Roger and my uncle Kevin for my grandma Jackie and my family. And so that's kind of how it all started, was just kind of putting some pen to paper and, thinking of memories that I had with them that were super meaningful. And I think a lot of people get attracted to it because I think we all have somebody that, not just somebody, but maybe multiple people that you just wish you could have another minute left, 5 minutes left, 10 minutes left, that you could just share another story, or, just kind of go back and reminisce on those times that you had, with those people, because time goes so quick, man. And so that's what helped. And then I got with a good friend of mine, Joshua Cole. He is a singer-songwriter up here. He's a great songwriter. And he was actually teaching me guitar. That's initially how I reached out to him, was he was going to teach me guitar and that kind of stuff. And I remember he came over to my house and he kind of goes like, dude, what do you want to do? And I said, well, I want you to teach me guitar. And he's like, I know, but like, what do you want to do with guitar? I was like, well, I guess we could play covers, but I did write a song called Back Then. And so and then he like hopped out of his seat like, dude, that's where it's at. Songwriting is where it's at. So we started kind of messing with it. He's really good with melodies, so he helped me with melodies and chorus, and then it was kind of born. And the interesting thing about Back Then was I wasn't really going anywhere with it, meaning like I just was going to maybe finish it and play it for my family. Well, I posted it on my Facebook with Josh as kind of he was doing like lead guitar with some harmonies while I played it. And we just did like a quick minute video, and it kind of blew up on my personal page. And I was like, what the heck? Like, I'm nothing special. Like, I'm just putting it out there. And, Josh Cole was friends with Luke Mills, who is the head of FiJack and things of that nature. And he saw it because I tagged Josh in the video. And Luke reached out to Josh and goes, "Who's that guy and what's that song?" And Josh is like, "You need to talk to Caleb. It's his baby. You got to talk to him." And so Josh called me the next day. He goes, "Hey, Luke Mills wants to talk to you." And me not being in the music industry, goes, "Who the heck is Luke Mills?" Like I didn't know. And it wasn't a disrespect thing. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And, since then Luke's like, "Hey, come out to Holdridge. I want to produce this song." And that's kind of how this train got on the tracks. And that's when it was just an avalanche, from there.
It sounds like that was your spark moment. I mean, a number of us think about, all right, the influence that music has and what causes that spark to make that jump into something more than just passive listening. Wow, how exciting. Now, these are obviously family members you respected a great deal.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. My grandpa Roger was a big time farmer. But he came from nothing. Like he started buying up land, and it just, to have 9 kids and to build a pretty good farm empire that he had in, southeast Nebraska. He was very proud of it, but he was very proud of his faith and he was very proud of his family. And he knew to take care of people. And I remember he told me, I feel like I always butcher this, but he goes, "Caleb, you're never wrong when you're doing the right thing." And it has always just stuck with me. And, he's made mistakes. I've made mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes, but continue to be a better person every day. And that's kind of what led into, me writing a verse about him. You'll notice the first verse is about my grandpa Roger. The second verse is about my Uncle Kevin. And then the third verse is kind of the post, right? Them up, with God and kind of what they're doing now, looking down on us. So it was kind of a summation of, them as, what they're doing now. They're in a better place and, definitely probably grinning down on us chatting today.
I do want to say I did like how the structure of those verses really tells that the story isn't over just because they're no longer here.
Yes.
The story continues to be told, where they go, that story will continue to be told too. So I thought that was really, really cool. And it painted a really kind of nice lifetime picture of growing up in southeast Nebraska on a farm, the subtle things,
Yeah.
So really, 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 really cool stuff, man. I'm interested in hearing more of your stuff.
Well, yeah. I want to ask a question because this is off of your bio itself. Something about small town mischief. So you're sharing stories about your grandfather and your uncle. They must have recognized something about you that basically had them kind of like show you a few things. Maybe you can talk a little bit about your youth. What kind of individual were you growing up?
Yeah, it's interesting. I was not I should say I was causing a little bit of trouble growing up. But like in small town Nebraska, like you got to find stuff to do. And so I'd like to, Matt can probably attest a little bit to this. And, I never broke the rules, but I'd bend them until they about broke. I always use the term, or my mom would always call me and she'd go, "Where are you?" I'm like, "I don't know." And she goes, "Well, I'll just call the cops and they'll come find out where you are." And so, so anyway, I loved hanging out with my buddies. I loved just kind of doing some things that people were like, did you hear what Kenner did last night? Like, that's crazy. I always, unfortunately, I like to be the center of attention, but I loved providing an experience and a fun nature thing for all my buddies. Like, that Kenner guy, that's crazy that he just did that, But I remember, my Uncle Kevin, my Grandpa Roger were always just like, "Hey man, like it's funny, but also down the road you got to fix some things, like you got to become a better person." And I've kind of learned through trial and error that, now I look back on my days, I'm like, gosh, I was an idiot, but I've grown up a lot. And, once you have kids and stuff like I have, and they just taught me to be a good person. I never would put anybody down. I never would do anything that was like inappropriate. I was just causing a little bit of trouble in Hebron was all. And, waking up some neighbors and stuff like that. But I remember the funny thing about my Grandpa Roger, there's a bar in Hebron called the Brand X, which my sister now owns, which is kind of cool, full circle. She just bought that night. She's actually from Sprague, Nebraska, or Martell. So anyway, we were talking, and I brought in my wife, Abby. We were dating my freshman year in college, and we brought I brought her to the Brand X, and my grandpa Roger's sitting there, and he kind of looks up and kind of looks at Abby and goes, "Now, which one are you?" Because I used to date a lot of girls, and so I was like, "Oh boy." So he came at my hectic life as a little bit of like comic relief, which was great. But anyway, yeah, they're great dudes. But I definitely learned my lesson growing up, for sure.
When you and I spoke on the phone, just to, kind of introduce each other, you were talking about your relatives and their tie into the military. Did either your grandfather or uncle serve?
Not my grandpa Roger and my uncle Kevin, but my grandpa Jim, my dad's dad, did for many, many years, which he just passed away this last year at the ripe age of 99, lived a great life. He was a beautiful man. He's a saint. And then, of course, my Uncle Casey, who's currently serving right now. I think he's been in 26 years. And he works for the National Guard as a recruiter. I think he still does that, but he's been promoted to chief and things of that nature. And then his son, Patton, who is my nephew, just finished his, 12 weeks down in San Antonio. So, but yeah, so have a history of guys serving, in the military.
So let's talk about the songs that, like, for instance, back then, it was about family members. Was it intimidating for you to share, that story, to family members and then friends? I mean, it's very personal, right? And it's got to be really and obviously it's a very emotional song. But how was it received by, first of all, your family and maybe your friends?
Yeah, it's interesting. As I started to songwrite, and Matt can probably understand this, the more vulnerable you are, the better the song is. And, I started to go down a path where I'm like, how deep do I want to get with this song? And, but I felt like the more things I kind of started to strip away and get to the details of it, it really opened up as a song. And so I remember when I had finished the production, I had kind of the pre-mix that Starday Recordings, who is my record label, they sent it to me, and it wasn't fully mastered yet, wasn't ready, but I was like, oh my gosh, this is the coolest thing in the world. Like I've got the pre-mix, and I remember sending it to my mom and then her 7 brothers and sisters. My Uncle Kevin, who's the 9th, who has passed, that was part of the song, and I just remember they all called me, and I never really hear from them, right? We're all kind of busy with our lives, and they go, that's incredible that you just did that. And their mind went to, how'd you write it? And how'd you know what chords to play? And the production side, how did you know? And I was like, well, the production side, Starday, has a lot to do with that, and my producer, but I wanted the emotion, in that song. So, I had to get really descriptive. You look at, talking about my grandpa Roger in the first verse, laying back in his recliner. That guy was always in his recliner, sitting back, watching Westerns after he'd get off the combine after a long day of harvest. And we'd be over there at his house, and he'd be in his long johns, sitting there and super quiet, but he was just enjoying the moment, right? And then you talk about my Uncle Kevin, who in the second verse, I said, he quotes Chris Farley up and down. The dude loved Tommy Boy, Black Sheep. Chris Farley was his vibe. And so, I tried to really add those sentimental values to the lyrics, to the songs. And that's what I tried. And then the chorus, what you'll notice about the chorus, it's a mixture of them, but it's a mixture of myself about, smoking cigs behind the windshield when I was probably too young, and, bush lights sipping, swerving like I'm living, in the country roads, doing things I probably shouldn't be doing. And so, but it kind of resonates at the end of the chorus about, being a good man. Those guys always told me, be a good man, fix your habits. So I really tried to dive into kind of the pieces of it, when I got to it. But yeah, it was kind of weird sharing that song with my family because I didn't really know how they're going to respond. And it was funny, probably when it hit me the most, we were at, a few weeks ago, we were at the Battle of the Bands in Omaha at Bushwhackers, which is now going to be Guitars and Cadillacs here in Omaha. And it was basically an audition to play at Country Stampede, my band. And I had a lot of folks there. My mom was there. And I started playing back then, and my lead guitar player played this beautiful ambiance as I'm kind of strumming my guitar. And it kind of overcame me a little bit, because I looked at my mom was in the front row, and I could tell she was starting to cry. And I had not even started the song yet. And I unfortunately looked at her, so I was kind of getting choked up right before I was supposed to sing. And that's when I knew, I'm like, okay, maybe I can write songs, like maybe I'm okay at this, if my mom is, feeling this to her core. So it was pretty cool seeing that full circle, because the song had been out for close to 2 years, and the fact that my mom was getting emotional right before was pretty cool.
Oh man, there's a lot in that first song. I mean, you got to write it, and then you've got to learn it. Then you got to bring in the band to record it at the recording studios. But it sound. And by the way, I meant to tell you that after listening to the songs that you've got on your website, it sounded like you have a tight band. And I don't know if they were studio musicians, but they delivered for you, man.
Yeah, I've got a great band. They're guys here in Omaha. I've gone through trial and error, and they're guys, they believe in my vision. And it's hard for me, because I don't know. I'm nothing special. I've always said this, but I feel like I'm a pretty good leader, and I want others to succeed. And my band members, they're guys that love to play, and they want an opportunity to play. And so I'm trying to give that to them. But, they're reliable. We meet. They go through the set. They come prepared. It's really big, because now I have to organize it. Which songs are we working on? Which ones are we doing? But the execution is at a very high level. So when we meet on Wednesdays, every Wednesdays at 6:30 to 9 o'clock, we're hammering out our set. So
good for you. Have you got another song for us? Love to hear one.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, I know DJ, I know he was texting you to maybe do Trouble Kids. So I'm happy to do that one. That one's a little different, but I like that one a lot. So, okay.
Well, why don't you tell us the song and what's it about?
Yeah, so this one's called Trouble Kids, and interesting story about this song. My wife and I, we were on our 10-year anniversary trip in Italy. We were there, and my wife is she loves to read books, and she's pretty much sipping on her drink and reading books, and I'm kind of bored sitting on the beach, and I'm like, you know what, I probably should write a song. And so I started writing, and it was this song. And I remember on the flight back, because I had showed Abby, I'm like, hey, I'm kind of writing a song. She's like, oh, okay, that's cool. And on the flight back, she's like, hey, what did you write about? I said, oh, I wrote a song called Trouble Kids. It's a song about my buddies. And she kind of was like silent for a minute, and we land, and it just hit me. I'm like, she probably thought I was writing a song about her because we're on our 10-year anniversary, but I wrote a song about my buddies. But my friends and I growing up, man, growing up small town Nebraska, we'd be cruising get done with basketball. We'd be cruising the streets, hanging out, driving around town because we had nothing better else to do in our Grand Dams or, Chevy Silverados. And so it was just kind of a reminisce on, the CD era, downloading CDs and music and all that kind of stuff. And just hanging with your friends. Actually, the first kind of line, I talk about burnt CD from Tay's, and Tay is one of my buddies. So that's kind of how it starts, the whole thing. So, all right,
sounds like small town, shenanigans.
Yes, yeah, the mischief thing that we were kind of talking about earlier, like this is kind of where this song, came about. So, yeah. Anyway, it's called Trouble Kids. So, hope you guys like it. So. Got that burnt CD from Tay's, freshly done. Cruiser out, loaded up like a shotgun. Even when the town was quiet like a graveyard, finding shit to do wasn't all that hard. Come on down to chill, the girls are here now. Out here running the night, make some noise.
Driving brick road streets without fear. Dad's beer, he's got enough anyway. Fellas jumping in the bed of a pickup. Laws on our heels, we best be splitting up. Crank the tunes, let the deal ride. Hit the gas and let them all talk tonight. Getting gone, inside of town, just trying to live. Though our heads laughing, we just some trouble kids. We all grew at families of our own. Work beer, watching our kids get grown. Dad jokes, dad bods, now a little bit chubby. Group texts and mean shit's always funny. Always picking up where we left on. If you ain't running with us, you were soft. Driving brick road streets without fear. Dad's beer, he's got enough anyway. Fellas jumping in the bed of a pickup. Laws on our heels, we best be splitting up. Crank the tunes, let the deal ride. Hit the gas and let them all talk tonight. Getting gone, us out of town, just trying to live. Though our heads laughing, we just some trouble kids. Stolen cigs, broken ladders, open roads with the full tank. Flip the bird, all-nighters, chasing girls, another in the memory bank. Stolen cigs, broken ladders, open roads with the full tank. Flip the bird, all-nighters, chasing girls, another in the memory bank. Driving brick road streets without fear. Dad's beer, he's got enough anyway. Fellas jumping in the bed of a pickup. Laws on our heels, best be splitting up. Crank the tunes, let the deal ride. Hit the gas and let them all talk tonight. Getting gone, it's out of town, just trying to live. Though our heads laughing, we just some trouble kids. Yeah, we just some trouble kids. But say what you want, we don't give a damn. Yeah, we just some trouble kids. But say what you want, we don't give a damn. Yeah. Trouble kids.
Thanks, Caleb. All right. Sounded good, my friend. Hey, how many songs have you written? I think you may have mentioned 6 or 7. Is that?
Yep. So I've written 7. 5 have been produced.
Okay. So there are a couple in the wings still.
Yes. Yep. Yep. I actually just recorded our 6th song. So actually last weekend. So
have you shared all of your songs with your family yet? I mean, have they all had an opportunity? And the reason why I ask that is because I know you're the father of 4 daughters, and I'm just curious what they have to say about your songs, and if you've got favorites. Are they your toughest critics? You know, maybe give us the inside track of what your family's saying about your music.
Yeah, so my oldest, Emmy, who's going to be 11 in April, she loves the whole thing. Actually, I just picked her up from softball tonight, and she's like, hey, when am I going to record with you? And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, well, I want to get out of school so I can come record with you, which I honestly think would be cool. Like, she's got a pretty little voice, if she could harmonize on something. But so she thinks it's pretty cool. Brea, who's 7, she likes going to my concerts. She's kind of she's going to end up going to like raves, I think. She just loves, she just is in there. And I love that girl. She's so funny. And then my 4 and 3-year-old, they are, they're not quite putting 2 to 2 together, but they always love saying it, like in my truck when I take them to daycare in the morning. They're always like, hey, can we play Daddy's song? And I'm like, well, I've got 5 of them. Which ones do you want to, I don't have a ton, but which one do you want to hear? But no, it's the balance of fatherhood and, because they have events and then trying to write music. That's when you're like, hey, can you do tonight? And I'm like, actually, this is when I do my work, so this is great because everybody's asleep. And but yeah, so my 2 oldest really enjoy it. And then my wife's just very supportive, in regards to, being able to stay back with the kids so I can go, rehearse, or if I have a concert or gig coming up that I can go to that. So, you have to have a really good nucleus in order to do, these types of things.
Let me ask you, I got to know, I mean, because when at least I know for myself, when I got started into music, some of the things I wanted to do was have my music reflect those who kind of inspired me and told stories in a certain way that I really resonated with. Who are some of your biggest inspirations, and how did they help kind of determine your sound, if they were a contributor in your sound?
Yeah. So, Matt, are you thinking more like people that I know, or like?
Well, I mean, just like musical influences. For me,
Yeah.
Eric Clapton, B.B. King, those kind of guys.
Yeah. So some of the big ones for me. So earlier on, so the reason why my music is a little, I would love to be like Red Dirt or like sing like Chris Stapleton, and I don't have their style. Even though I love them, I love the music. I can't. I don't have that style in me. But I grew up actually, Matt, listening to a lot of R&B and pop was kind of my initial, how I got into it. So I was a big Justin Timberlake fan, and then when he did that the Whiskey song with Chris Stapleton, that's kind of when I was like,
say something.
Yeah. Oh man, that song is just beautiful, and I'm like, oh, that guitar on that with Chris.
Yes.
I'm like, dang. So, and then I was big into, kind of as I moved throughout, I started to kind of fall in love with, Stephen Wilson Jr., his songwriting, and then Hardy. Hardy is probably my biggest influence in regards to as a songwriter, because he's a dad. He's kind of this no nonsense like Mississippi kid that just kind of writes what he feels, and that's kind of where I got a lot of my inspiration. And he kind of had that he kind of has a little bit of punk rock with hard country, and then he kind of went with that Mockingbird and Crow. He kind of went really hard rock. And so I would really like to be diverse, in the best if I can. But I love that. I love the songwriting component of those guys, absolutely. And then I would say Ashley Gorley, as far as like an actual songwriter, he's on pretty much anything that's on any, like Luke Bryan, Morgan Wall. I mean, that guy writes every hit song. I think he's got 20 number ones in the last 3 years. So, so anyway, yeah, there's just some people that I really like, but I would say Hardy is by far my, one of my favorite songwriters.
Okay. It's interesting stuff right there. I know when you say Chris Stapleton, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I love about Chris Stapleton. Vocals, the ranges that he can hit. I can't do it, right?
Yeah.
And that's the reason, if I tried to jump that high, it would look like I was having a heart attack. Okay? It would look like maybe I stubbed my toe late at night on a coffee table. It would look awful.
I think the industry term is pull up your trousers.
Yeah. What would you say? What would you say is a tip that you would give someone? Maybe something that you kind of learned early on with guitar playing and songwriting. What's kind of the tip that you would give them, or the trick?
Oh man, for me, the biggest thing for me was just staying at it. It gets really frustrating because there's times where, like guitar playing, right, Matt? You talk hey, when I was learning chords, right? I'm like, gosh, how do I get that E and then to the F? And then you're losing your mind, and then you start then you're like, okay, then I move to that level, and you're like, okay, I can play like normal chords, and then it's like, oh, finger picking, palm muting, and you've got to take it in increments. Like I was YouTubing stuff, and I was looking at all these different, and I'm like, I almost kind of got lost. I'm like, hey, Caleb, start simple, learn the chords, then start working on, plucking, individual ones, if you're going to do that, and then work on palm, it's a slow build. And songwriting's the same way. When I started songwriting, I was so big picture. But my songwriter, my good friend Josh, he's like, Caleb, when you songwrite, and he read, I forget what book he read, but it was when you're looking at a tree, and this is the example he gave me. He goes, what do you see when you look at a tree? And I was like, well, bark, edges, brown, leaves, and he goes like, what's in the bark? Or, are there roots? You're talking about the roots that come up in between, up into the tree. And it's like all those minor details. I'm like, gosh, there's so much you could write about a tree. Like you could write a tree song.
Is there some gnarly looking knot on the front of it, you know?
Yeah, or like, you know, like lightning struck and you see like a branch down, and so how do you describe that in a song? And so yeah, just taking it step by step, because I think in today's industry, and Matt and Tom, you may agree, it's like everybody wants to try to make it big, and they're trying to make the biggest step they can, and if they don't, they give up. And it happens so often, and it's like, guys, you gotta work your way up. Like, it's rare that you're gonna go like viral, right? So start simple, songwrite, get one good song, get to the next. But I will say this, I think you have to act like a pro, even if you're not. I know that's a weird terminology, but like, you have to act like you really know what you're doing. Because a lot of the times I don't, but I take inspiration from others and I utilize that in my songwriting and my presentation on how I do things. If you look at some of my, even social media stuff, I try to get as high as quality of things that you can get out there just to make it like, oh man, because I have friends that they're like, dude, you're kind of doing the thing. I'm like, well, kind of, man. I'm just getting started. Like, I'm not doing the thing too much, but to them, it looks like I am, yeah. And it helps you, when you do try to reach out, for gigs or concerts, what do? They're going to check out your EPK, and then they're going to go look at your socials. And like, if they're not up to scuff, or it's like, what is this kid? When he's the last posted like 3 months ago. So it's just staying up on it is the biggest thing, and it gets overwhelming, but you just got to take it step by step. That's the biggest thing I've learned. For me, it's like, just get a win every day. Whatever that win is, just take it. So
tell me, what are you working on right now with your guitar? I know you mentioned like palm mutes and finger picking. What is on the chopping block that you're learning right now?
Riffs in between songs. Yeah, like I can't. I'm so excited to get into that, because I have a song that I wrote. It's pretty much done, but it's got some really cool riffs that we can do within it, and so learning that song with doing the riffs, and then vocally it's a little challenging because there's a little bit of range to it, but riffing in between and and allowing my guitar to like talk a little bit, so that's my next stage that I'm working on.
Okay,
you must be dabbling in music theory then.
Yes, so that,
oh god,
even though I struggle with
something I said.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I as a guitar instructor myself, it's kind of like that's the same response that I get from my students. Theory. Ooh. Jeez.
You say music theory, and you go, well, yeah, in theory. I can't play that.
Oh, good Lord. Hey, I want to ask you, at first you think about, all I want to do is just play guitar. All I want to do is sing my songs. But there's a business side to all of this. And I know you had mentioned to me that you've got a full-time job. You're doing other things. And I'm just wondering what it is that you're doing, outside of music. And are you able to carry some of those skills into the music side of your career?
Yeah, great question. So I've been in kind of the entrepreneurial space for a lot of my life. Again, I was pretty blessed that I had mentors and family members that have done really well in the business sector. I'm actually in the franchising world. So I actually help entrepreneurs invest in franchises, so businesses. And so very much everything I do ties back to, my job, where I guide people through a process, taking them step by step, understanding what brands they want to, look into. But it's presentability, right? I just talked about it, like having that professional, having somebody professional do your production. When I had merch made, I made sure I went through a few different people that were going to make my merch so it would look really smart or really good. When I built my website, right? Like I had to make sure I had all the right images and things of that nature. So I try to tie in, because as an artist, you really are a business person. You have to market yourself, because if you don't, guess who's doing it? No one. No one's going to go, Caleb, go listen to Caleb's music or go here. Like, no one's doing that. I don't have a marketing team. So I've got to think of ways to be creative to get my stuff out there in one way, shape, or form. So I try to use some humor. I'm big on social media, even though I maybe not a huge fan of social media, but you have to in this day and age to promote yourself. But yeah, so I try to invest in certain things, and photography, production. I invest in my team, and I'm blessed enough that my career allows me to do this. And I know some artists don't have that opportunity, and so I try to provide a little bit for them, because for me, it's about building a community. It's about building up other artists, because you never know if that artist has something that you might be interested in too, right? Like, we can use each other to grow. And so I've always felt like never burn bridges, build relationships, build chains. And that's how I treat my business. Very much relationship oriented. I love helping people. It's always been kind of at the cornerstone of the way I operate. So, but yeah, so I work from home. Which I'm blessed to be able to do that. I can be here, and over lunch break, I can go right back here. I've got my setup, and jam a little bit and do some melodies and do some recordings. But yeah, so yeah, from a business perspective, what I do is, I work from home and I advise folks on investing in franchise businesses.
It's wonderful to be tied into a career like what you have. It kind of reinforces what the organizational skills that you need, the communication skill that you need. A lot of musicians have to learn that, learn as they go. When they say, yeah, isn't it just about writing songs and playing guitar and going out and singing? No, there really is more to that. And yeah, thanks for sharing that perspective. I had seen on your Facebook page that you recently released, or are about to release, a new single that I wasn't able to hear as I listened to what you've got posted. Tell us more about it. Is it kind of like in the same mindset as Troubled Kids and back then, or is it what can people expect when they listen to that song?
Yeah, so it actually, funny enough, here in like an hour, I think it'll be out everywhere. But yeah, so it's a song called 4 Little Reasons. I started writing this about 8 months ago. It's about my daughters. And again, it's, I talked back then about how my grandpa Roger and my uncle Kevin shaped me. Well, my daughters have done the same thing for me. As someone that always wanted kids, but never thought I could have them or should have them, because am I going to be responsible enough to have kids? But it's interesting. I started having kids at a pretty young age, and I think I was 22, 23. And, you just kind of figure it out. I think a lot of people get scared to have kids just because it can be overwhelming. And for some people, it's not for them. And I totally understand that. But for me, once I started having kids, it gave me a different perspective on life. And that I have to provide. That's kind of what happened. When I had kids, I provide. I provide for my kids, my wife, and the household. And so as I started to have more kids that were just girls, I never had a boy. It was funny. After my 4th girl, I was like, oh my gosh. And my buddies were like, so you're going to try for a boy? I was like, guys, I have been. I'm 0 for 4. It's not going to happen.
You think I haven't been trying?
Yeah. And so and so it was interesting. You just kind of figure it out. But at the end of the day, it's so funny, guys. As I write music or, perform on the stage or, working as my job, sometimes you don't want to do it, right? You don't want to write a song. You don't want to go perform. You don't want to stay up and, write music, and you don't want to take that extra call with a client to, potentially place them with somebody to help your business. But then you kind of look back and go, but I've got a responsibility. I'm doing it for them. And so so the song is really for my girls. It's for Emmy, Brea, India, Monroe, about kind of how they shaped me as a dad, which has been great, because I've certainly have my hiccups in life that I've had. But now that I've got my kids, got my family, I know my purpose in life. And so the song is called 4 Little Reasons. It talks about, kind of how I started having kids, why I started having kids. And then, but it's still a fun song. What you'll notice with my music is, it's a unique style. I've got a little bit of country with some pop, with a little bit of I don't know how to frame it up. Just kind of a bigger sound. And that's what this song is. Like, it's got the emotional piece to it, which I think a lot of parents will kind of, nod their head during the song, like, yep, that kind of sounds like me. But then also it's still it's a very fun song to listen to. So yeah, that comes out tonight. Super excited about it. My daughter Emmy she's like, can I stay up till 11 to hear it come out? I'm like, no, you're going to bed. You got school tomorrow. So,
oh, bummer.
Oh my!
And she couldn't last anyway. She's already like, I was like, all right, I'm getting ready to go on this, Hero Stock podcast. She goes, okay, I'm going to go to bed. I'm like, okay. So,
She's like, no, podcast. Like,
yeah.
When are you going to let me sing on your record?
Yeah, exactly.
We're looking forward to that one. We do have time for one more song. I don't know if you're interested in playing it for us live.
Yeah.
I don't want to put you on the spot.
Put him on the spot.
I don't want this. Yeah, okay. How could we refuse? All right. That's awesome, Caleb. What a wonderful story. I mean, the family man, the dad, the husband, the son, the grandson, the nephew, all in your music. It's wonderful to hear. All right. Go for it.
You guys ready?
Let's do it.
Is this the new one? Or is
Yes, this is 4 Little Reasons. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So, all right, here we go. Yeah, my buddies took a vote when we were 16 and dumb that I'd be the one to light it up like a Roman candle, forever on the run. From those nights with the boys, no rules to keep. Now it's bedtime stories and rocking my girls to sleep. 'Cause I've got 4 little reasons to walk the straight line. Them blue-eyed babes don't change my mind. I traded cold beers for dress-ups at noon. Tough guy doing ponytails in our rooms. Every hug, every giggle, every fight, trying to get this damn thing right. From the man I was to who I wanna be. For the 4 little reasons to set my wild heart free. Hometown scars when I look in the glass. It's saying no degree, least likely to move on from my past. And I ain't perfect, but I'm gonna give them my all. Ooh, I've got 4 little reasons to walk the straight line. Them blue-eyed babes don't change my mind. I traded cold beers for dress-ups at noon. Tough guy doing ponytails in our rooms. Every hug, every giggle, every fight, trying to get this damn thing right. From the man I was to who I wanna be. For the 4 little reasons to set my wild heart free. Yeah. This life is where I'm supposed to be. You and I, babe, with our family. 'Cause I've got 4 little reasons to walk the straight line. Them blue-eyed babes don't change my mind. I traded cold beers for dress-ups at noon. Tough guy doing ponytails in our rooms. Every hug, every giggle, every fight, trying to get this damn thing right. And I hold their hands and do my best each day. For the 4 little reasons I stole my heart away.
Caleb Kenner. Listen, my friend.
Absolutely awesome.
That was fantastic. And I'll tell you, I've got a 30-something-year-old daughter, just one daughter, and that brings back some wonderfully warm memories of her youth. And I got to tell you, I would imagine that if you are looking to see your daughter grow up, if there's, people who are listening, Sums it up very nicely. Very sweet, my friend.
I wonder if
thank
there's going to be a sequel to this song when they're teenagers and then they know more than you, and you'll be like, I got more than 4 little reasons.
Hey, I may bring you in on that to help me
look
songwrite
at
that
that.
song.
Oh, good. Let me help you with that one. Jeez. It's all good, though, my friend. Caleb, listen, man, it's been a pleasure talking with you and giving us the opportunity to get to know you through your music and your storytelling and just, the conversation. Maybe you can tell everyone where we can find not only, the music that you recorded, but also this latest release is about to be coming out here shortly.
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks, Tom and Matthew. I appreciate you guys having me on. I'm blessed to be on this, and getting to know you guys has been great. You guys are great guys. But yeah, so you can find me on pretty much everywhere. So all streaming platforms, just Caleb Kenner. And make sure to hit the follow button. That does help us with some algorithm things. But you can, I'm Caleb Kenner Official on Facebook. CalebKennerOfficial.com is my website. And then Caleb Kenner for Instagram and TikTok. It's just, there's no official on those ones, but just Caleb Kenner on Instagram and TikTok. So, yeah, just happy to be writing music. And, of course, again, thank you guys for having me on. And, look forward to the future. And, we'll keep grinding away.
Where are we going to see you next? Where are you going to be appearing?
Yeah, so I've got some things coming up here. We've got some shows pending, but I'm a big show that I have coming up here in, my summer shows are really starting to heat up. Grand Island, they're doing a big showcase out there that I'm going to do. And then my biggest show is going to be out in Sydney, Nebraska, I believe in June. It's called Downtown Sound. It's sponsored by the radio station out there. They do red carpet treatment. I know it's a 6-hour drive for me, but it is cool, man. It's the way they have it set up. It's a free event for families, so everybody comes out. When I was there last year, which was my first kind of big concert, there were 2,000 people that came.
Wow!
So it was, and
you
it was
played for 2,000 people before? Oh my goodness!
I don't know if I played for
Have you
40 people before, so
something to look forward to, right?
Yes. Yep. So that show is a blast. But yeah, then they have some stuff coming up in Omaha, and then I was back in Kearney. I was telling you last week I did the Trail of Tales songwriter showcase, and a lot of the fair boards were all in Kearney for that weekend. So I did get some potential fair opportunities, which will be cool. So, and I have there'll be something coming soon about kind of me performing back in my hometown of Hebron, Nebraska. So
that's not too far from me, man. I'm over here in old B-town, old Beatrice.
Oh yeah, I know Beatrice really well. Yeah, I've got family there.
Oh man, we're gonna have to link up and collaborate.
Oh,
that's right, man.
Sure. That's for sure. Well, make sure to check out Caleb's music, and don't forget the merch, because the merch is there as well too.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, Caleb. Hey, we were telling everyone about Caleb's connection to the Trails and Tales Songwriter Festival that was held in Deadwood, South Dakota, back in October. Next week, we'll be talking to the organizer and country rock musician DJ Bridwell about this annual event when it's coming back. His work that is involved with finding artists to perform. So you'll want to tune in to the Roundtable where heroes talk next time we meet up. So until then, for Caleb Kenner, for Matthew Jones, I'm Tom Lamog. We'll see you next time, the Hero Stock Nation podcast. Good night. Here's what you need to know about the Roundtable, where heroes talk. It centers on authentic conversation with veterans, first responders, and supporters of the Hero Stock mission. Now, each week, we share inspiring stories and open, honest discussions exploring a wide range of engaging and thought-provoking topics. Most episodes also feature live performances and an in-depth look at our guests' unique experiences and adventures. In 2025, We aired about, I think, 28 episodes, some of them with 2 guests, spotlighting musicians and songwriters from the country and the rock scene, also sports organizers and fans, poets and writers, creators of brews, salts and seasonings, beard care products, specialty guitar picks, you name it. It was on our list of people to talk with. 2026 is here, and it promises to be an even more exciting year.